Ladies and gentlemen, hey, hi, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. As we know, the end of Season 5 is only a few days away at this point, and with that, earlier on this week, we got the final intel mission of Season 5, known as New Threats. And this is actually one of the bigger intels that we've seen throughout the past few months, as it actually foreshadows what is going to be the biggest part of Warzone as we go into Season 6 and eventually into Black Ops Cold War. Also, alongside that, we also got a new update on the latest Black Ops Cold War teaser regarding Pawn Takes Pawn that we talked about a bit yesterday, so today, you guys already know, we're breaking all of it down. So if you enjoy the video at any point, let me know by dropping a like on it. And of course, if you're new to the channel, we are working towards hitting 600k before Cold War releases, so if you want to stay up to date with everything going on in the world of Call of Duty, news, intel, updates, all that stuff, feel free to subscribe with your notifications turned on. Now, as far as this week's intel goes, as I said, it is called New Threats, and the overall objective here is to uncover the next steps in Zakhaev's plan. As we know, throughout the past few weeks, we've sort of been following the trail left by Viktor Zakhaev on his journey to finish what his father and Perseus started many years ago. And this week, we got some pretty crazy information from these clues. So, as always, the first step this week is to find the location in the message that Ghost sent you, and upon viewing this intel, we can see that the Ghost coin is sitting on a sack inside of the farmland area, and this is by far the easiest step that we have for this week. It pretty much always is. So all you need to do here is simply land over at the farmland area up by the windmills, and on the southernmost windmill, on the bottom there's a few stacks of hay, and then also the Ghost coin as well. So grab that, wait for Ghost to appear on your screen, and you're on to step number 2. Now, step 2 says, Arm 3-1 left intel at a campsite. And remember, Arm 3-1 or Armistice 3-1 is not Alex, that would be Echo 3-1. We believe this to be Woods actually, but anyways, when you view this intel, you see a note that says, Arm 3-1 left is something, campsite east of the stadium. And if you know the Warzone map well, if you've traveled a fair bit throughout Verdansk in your time playing, you probably know right where this is. But if you head just east of the stadium up towards the bunker area, then also the larger bridge that's there as well, on top of the hill there, you're going to find intel number 2 in the very center of the campsite, and then grab that and you're on to step number 3. So for step 3, this one says Z and Perseus wanted more power. Z in this case is referencing Imran Zakhaev, and when you view this intel, we get a very important note from the CIA. Now the actual paper here says, country, Kastovia, that's where Warzone takes place, subject, Perseus, source, Adler. So Adler is actually investigating Perseus here, and it says, Perseus moving in northern region, Verdansk Dam, routing massive amounts of power, maybe these new bunkers run deeper than we thought. Then there's also a ripped up piece of paper on there that says, Power Grid Hydroelectric Dam, Adler was old school, one of the CIA's best, hunting Perseus meant he was on to something big. So for this one, obviously, we are headed up to the dam, and here you want to go inside the main building located in the lower section of it. Usually there's a helicopter spawn here, and then inside down on the bottom level near the phones, the intel is just sitting there on the desk. So grab that, and we're good to go on to step number 4. But also, as we break down what all this intel means for the storyline in Season 6 in general, this piece of intel in specific is going to be very important. Anyways, for Intel 4, this one says a sketch could provide a monumental clue. And if you guys watch the streams, if you've caught the live gameplays, you know I'm a sucker for puns. They are the best thing in history. And this clue is actually a monumental pun. I mean, literally, because as we view this intel, we see there is literally a sketch of the monument or the statue that is on the southern edge of the map over by Bunker 10. So for this one, we obviously need to head back to this statue and get familiar with it. It's going to play a pretty big role in the remainder of this week's intel too. However, for number 4, this one is honestly pretty easy. Simply head on down to the front of the statue where the Russian text is, and that's where you'll find this intel waiting for you. Then intel number 5 is actually pretty interesting. It's a bit more unique than some of the other intel missions that we've had in the past because this requires you to do something very specific. But the objective here says, find the source of the backup power, and when you view this intel, we find a note that reads, disrupt the satellite array. A low-range EMP should do the trick. When backup power kicks off, I'll drop you the location. Now, very important here, before you actually go ahead and get into the game, make sure you equip the EMP drone field upgrade, because I'm pretty sure you need to do this in order for the intel to actually work. Now, there's a chance I just missed it when I looked originally, but I only found the intel once I actually sent the EMP drone in. So for this one, we need to head back to the same monument that we were just at, and we need to use the EMP drone on the monument itself. You'll notice there's some satellites hanging off the top of it, and then after you hit the statue with the EMP, follow those cables down into the little shack next to it, and you'll find the intel in the back over by the TV. Now, moving on into intel number 6, this is the final intel you actually have to do in-game for this week. Intel 7 is more so just the final image, and it's a very big one, but as far as number 6 here goes, this one says, power is being rerouted from a nearby bunker, and when you view this intel, it of course shows that bunker 10 is still providing power. So we gotta go ahead, we gotta solve that by heading in to bunker number 10. Now, keep in mind, this one does require a code to get into, and by the way, if you didn't know, it is located just down the hill from the monument, just down on the street. But unless someone else in your lobby opens the bunker first, to get in, you do need to put in the code of 60274513. And then from that point, head on in, take a left down the hall, and on the computer, the final intel awaits right next to the giant ominous missile that sits right behind the wall. So heading back to the main menu, we get the big reveal for this week, literally as Objective 7 says, a threat revealed. And when you view this intel, there it is, ladies and gentlemen, the Warzone nuke, or I guess in its current state, the missile that is ready to be launched. So that is effectively how to complete the new threats intel, but what it really means is why we dive into these each time a new one comes out. And this intel entirely revolves around this final image of the nuke. Now, we've known for a while now that this missile was underneath the map, right? But now we actually have a reason as to why. Because as we found out through these notes this week, Perseus and Imran Zakhaev were the ones who were behind this nuke in the first place. They were drawing power from the dam and then rerouting it to the Bunker 10 area to prepare this missile for launch. Now, as you'll remember, we've had this so-called Nuke Event referenced in the files. We've had it leaked as a whole thing for a while now, but that's pretty much all we knew about it. We knew, or rather we know of its existence, but timeline-wise, that's pretty much been a mystery until now. Season 6 is, of course, coming up here very, very soon. It's going to be the final season for Modern Warfare, and then after that, Warzone should transition into Black Ops Cold War Season 1 or Season 0. And that is said to happen because of the nuke. It was leaked that the Nuke Event was going to sort of connect the two games in that sense, and now that Call of Duty and Infinity Ward are actually teasing the nuke itself, that can only mean one thing. The Nuke Event is coming, and it's coming soon. Season 6 is going to actually bring the Nuke Event to Modern Warfare and Warzone, but chances are that's not going to be happening until the end of the season when it's time for Cold War to release. But for now, the nuke stays being what is probably the most ominous reminder that this map is going to be changing in some very drastic ways. Now, as I mentioned in the intro, we did also see a new update to the Pawn Takes Pawn Easter egg today. Yesterday we left off on the Fire and Air website, and it needed 2 codes to progress into today's steps, and courtesy of Geeky Pastimes, we found out that the 2 codes are Covert Conflagration and then also Forceful Gale. So if you entered those codes, you were then taken to the Vanguard site, which has more codes for the people who have the PCs, like Noah J and Jack Frags, for instance. Now, these codes ended up building sort of a puzzle piece image that we had to put together that takes us to pawntakespawn.com/vcharlie, which has a transcript of the Victor Charlie mission from Black Ops 1. So, Geeky Pastimes was then able to actually decode this transcript. This dude is like a genius when it comes to this stuff. And from this page, we found the Subterranean Signal page, where you need to enter 6 mission orders from the combined Chopper Command image from earlier. Those codes being Checkpoint, Loadout, Cloud Bounce, Side Quest, Kill Screen, and then finally Cooldown. That'll take you to the Extraction Complete site, where you get a note that reads, "Wind and dust fill the air as blades rotate and pick up speed. More than an aircraft, choppers are an incredible testament to human ingenuity and engineering, a result of countless hours of trial and error. The best minds working together to harness the power of physics. Not all such endeavors end so well. This part of the mission is complete. See you tomorrow." Now, for getting to this page, you do also get a new vehicle skin in Warzone for the Rover, but there is also more to this page as well, including a note, and if you want to read the full thing, just go ahead and pause the video here. But this basically talks about finding something in the archives from the war and that a ground operation should be called for. And this is 2M from Tatiana, and we don't really know too much about this in and of itself. But then we also have a map that shows the Omega logo in the top right, which would indicate that this is in fact all zombies related. Then finally, we also have a tape recorder that plays a message from a woman who does not seem to be Tatiana, but we're not really sure who this is either. And I'll leave a link to the site down in the description below if you want to hear the whole thing play out for yourself. So apparently this is going to continue on into tomorrow, depending on what exactly happens tomorrow. If it's big, obviously we're going to have a video up on the channel. If not, we may just recap it at some later point, maybe during the weekends. We're going to have to wait and see for that. So yeah, with all of that being said, that is effectively what's going on with the Warzone Nuke event, alongside Black Ops Cold War and the various reveals for that. And that is going to wrap things up for today. If you guys enjoyed the video, let me know by dropping a like on it. And of course, if you're new here, if you want to help us reach 600k before Black Ops Cold War releases, feel free to subscribe to stay on top of the latest Call of Duty news and intel. As always, if you want to check out any of my partners, be sure to use code IMMORTAL on all Scuff, G Fuel, and Control Freak products. All of those links can be found down in the description below. And once again, thanks so much for tuning in. Until next time, take it easy, have an awesome rest of your day, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace out.